With one of the best savings rates in America, banking with Capital One is the easiest decision in the history of decisions. Even easier than choosing Slash to be in your band.
Next up for lead guitar. You're in.
Cool.
Yep, even easier than that. And with no fees or minimums on checking and savings accounts, is it even a decision? That's banking reimagined. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com/bank for details. Capital One N.A. member FDIC.
Everyone loves TV Dad.
On the next TV Dad, presented by Progressive, TV Dad explains becoming a man.
Son, it's time we had the talk.
Okay, TV Dad.
You know, drivers who switch and save with Progressive could save hundreds.
Oh, is that why my voice is changing?
That's a question for your health teacher.
Listen to your TV Dad. Drivers who switch and save with Progressive could save hundreds. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Potential savings will vary.
ABTB buddies, I've got Nick Leydorf on the show today. Nick is a Michigan comic from the East Lansing area, and he's also an attorney. Nick's been performing all around the country and at festivals including the Cleveland Comedy Festival, Crossroads Comedy Festival, and Gilda's LaughFest. His album came out this year called Free Consultation. Very funny. It's on Spotify, iTunes, and all the other cool places you can listen to comedy albums. I suggest you give it a listen. We had a really good talk. It's Nick Leydorf, and it's a good one. Nick.
Hey.
How the heck
Scott.
are you?
What's up? Hey, great, man. How are you?
I really enjoyed your album.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
So what kind of work went into putting that together?
A lot of work. It took a long time for me to, and a lot of false starts with COVID, getting it ready to go and then having to stop. But the final preparation and getting ready for it was like about 6 months before. I recorded it earlier this year in April of 2022. And I really started getting ready around, this time actually last year, and started hitting up a bunch of people saying, hey, I'm going to be doing this. Can I get some extended sets? And a lot of people were really helpful with that, just letting me come and do, 45 minutes longer sets, stuff like that, which was great. And just packed as many of those as I could, and sat down with a friend, and we kind of plotted out everything, like where we thought it should go, and what should be in and what shouldn't be in. And it was a lot of fun. It was I got a lot better as I did that. I found that it was
It's amazing when you put something in front of you that you have to, it's a goal. And it's also something that you've got scheduled, that you and you get people to record and all that kind of stuff, that you actually get serious about stuff and you buckle down and do a lot more work. Yeah,
it was really intense. Getting ready for it, I was listening to everything, got in the habit of recording everything video wise, and watching it back and finding out what will work. And then as I was doing more things, I was writing other jokes too, and those kind of ended up making it to the album as we worked its way in. So
that's great. And I didn't look at was that self-produced?
Yeah, it was. I was. I tried to get some people that were in some labels. They weren't really. They just because of like the landscape of Sirius, which is like the big income generator for them. They're having trouble with getting paid, I guess, and stuff like that.
Oh,
but so at least that's what they said. Maybe they didn't like it. They just didn't want to tell me. But I was kind of fortunate that they ended up passing on it, because I was able to just kind of put it out myself, and I think it's done pretty well so far.
And that's, I've talked to folks that have either used a label or done it themselves, and the big thing about doing it yourself is you own it. You don't have to share the residuals with anybody if it makes it to Sirius. So that's really a good thing, because I guess the record company takes a pretty big hunk out of it.
Yeah, it depends on the agreement, but it can be upwards like 40%. What I've seen. So,
And being an attorney, I'm sure you would look at that pretty closely.
I could read the agreement. Yep.
Yeah. Now, is that the bonus track with Julian? Is Julian your son?
Yeah, he's my son. Yeah. So he just I'm not one of those dads that try to push him into stand up, but as he saw me getting ready for this, he's like, "Can I be on your show?" And I'm not gonna tell my kid no, you know. So we had fun just working on some jokes that he did, and a couple street jokes, and then one that he actually wrote on his own that I really enjoy, the one about Scorpion.
Yeah.
And my dad passed away when I was younger, but that was a joke that kind of a joke that my dad told me about a guy with a frog on his head walking into a bar. And then so Julian is like 10, so he just like picked that joke apart and swapped things into it and made it work. And I was just like blown away by that he was able to figure that out at 10 years old, because there's people I know that can't have trouble writing a joke, let alone this kid figured it out. So
no doubt. And he seems so fearless.
Yeah, he was. It was so funny. I wish I could have recorded just how he was backstage in the green room, and he was just sitting there with his legs crossed. He had some tea and he had his headphones in, and I was just like, "Hey, buddy, we're getting ready to start." And he just took off his headphones and he went up on stage and did it. He had no stage fright, no fear, and it was pretty cool.
That was great. I guess my favorite joke on the album was about your mom trying to write a check for your student debt. And I know all these jokes are rooted in truth, but what I liked was the fact that just how out of touch, and she's in my generation. I'm a boomer, so she's my generation. Just how out of touch we are on everything. And it was great.
Thanks. That is rooted in truth. She didn't really know how much debt I had. So when I told her that one time, that was her reaction. She was just like, Jesus Christ. She was pretty blown away by that. But
I got to see that firsthand with my kids, so I know how much it is. And
I know it's wild.
It's a lot. It's amazing how much that costs and how long it takes to pay it back. But
that's like the first video I've had on TikTok that like did really well, is that joke. And, it's almost up to like 1 million views right now, and I'm just kind of, it's like 950,000. I just want to try and get it to 1 million, just to say that I did that. But it's been.
Yeah, it's funny because I just looked at your TikTok for the first time today, and I went through the videos there, and you're doing pretty good.
Thanks. Yeah, for a bald white guy, I'm doing pretty good, you know. Things are going pretty well on TikTok. I've just in the last 6 months, I've really started being more regimented with putting out reels and video content and just kind of editing some stuff, and it's fun, you know. And once it's not fun, I'll stop doing it. But at least it's fun right now.
Now, have you had people come up to you at shows and say, "I saw you on TikTok"?
No, they didn't come. They haven't come just for the like. Normally, they'll come to the show and then I'll pitch, at the end of my set, like, follow me on TikTok, and then they hit me up and it's like, oh wow, that's cool. It's just putting out some, not just stand-up clips, but doing like a question and answer segment that I do with people just send crazy questions on the internet and talk about that. but yeah.
4 DUIs.
Right. Yeah, I know. Wild. Yeah.
What do you
that
expect?
guy wouldn't know when he's going to get his license back. Like, no, I don't think you should ever get your license back. I'm a defense attorney talking, man. I don't want you to drive.
I just thought that was hilarious, and people are just stupid. So
I know. There's so much that I can pull from with stupid questions on the internet, because there's an unlimited supply of it.
So what got you into doing stand-up in the first place?
So I was like always like an artistic kind of person, but I was very shy, and I would both my parents were like in the arts. So my dad was an art teacher and did mixed arts and different things like that, pottery and painting, and my mom was a graphic designer before she decided to be a minister. And so I was always like around arts, and I was in band and all kinds of stuff, but I never really did anything really creatively like acting, even though I really wanted to do that. But I kind of just let, fear get the best of me. And one of my friends just signed me up when I was like 32, about 10 years ago, actually, a little over 10 years ago. And he's like, "You're going to do this. I don't want any excuses. I just want you to do this. I think you're going to be funny." And I just did it, and it was a lot of fun. And I loved it. And I just started, hitting mics, and it was really bad timing because my son was like 2 months old, and just started not a great time to start doing stand-up, but my wife was cool with it, and yeah, I just started doing it more and more, and started just doing wherever I could. So
that's great. Did you ever do Sunday Night Funnies?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Yep.
That was one of the last things I did before I moved.
Yeah, when I did it quite a while ago, but they gave us a hotel room, which was kind of cool.
Oh, really? Yeah. No. Yeah. I didn't get that. I drove up from South Bend, and then I drove up and did the comedy contest at the Bob at Dr. Grin's a couple weeks later, and and then COVID hit, and then I didn't do anything for a while.
I know that I finally made it in it was like 29 end of 2019, beginning of 2020, and I moved on to I think it was the semifinals or the finals or that one, and then they shut it down. So that was like the only one I ever made it any farther in, and then then COVID had to happen. So
that's great. So when you're starting out, so 10 years ago you did the open mic. What was it that after doing that and moving on, what was it that kept you going?
Just a creative outlet. I think that was something that I really enjoyed, is being able to create something on my own, and write something and then just kind of perform it on my own, and without anybody else having to get involved in it, just being able to create something that I thought was funny, and then perform. I wasn't really performing jokes back then. I was just kind of telling jokes. But it's, kind of evolved, and I've gotten, better at doing what I do, which is it. I'm not super animated, but I'm getting better at that. But so I just thought it was a really great way to, kind of do something different that was creative, and something I kind of always wanted to do. Being a lawyer, I don't really create a whole lot of things. I usually just destroyed things. So it's always nice to be able to make something, and I just really latched onto it and enjoyed it ever since.
Did you ever have any kind of stage fright or anything like that?
Oh yeah, I still do. There's times before that first one, it was just I think I had had a few beers before I went up and did it. I performed with shorts on because I didn't really know, that was a thing. But it was a competition. I only had one person there that knew me, and I ended up moving on to the next round, and I lost in the finals. It was just something in Lansing here, but yeah, it was very nervous, walking around, pacing a lot, but that nervous energy, I think, was kind of funny at that point. And yeah, it's hard to explain, but yeah, it was just kind of that nervous, trying to find the joke at the same time of trying to not, freak out and have a panic attack on stage.
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah.
So your material is, it's pretty much split down the middle of, personal stories and observations. So when you decide you're going to, I'll ask it this way. Do you have a certain writing time that you put aside for writing, or do you just write stuff down as it comes?
Yeah, so lately I haven't been as disciplined as I normally have been. Just lots of stuff has been happening work-wise and things, but I make it a habit to do morning pages every day, which I'm a big believer in that. You just writing for the sake of getting garbage out of your head, and just writing it all down, and then coming back to those at at certain intervals, usually like once a week, and looking at that stuff. But then also setting aside some time each day to write new things, work on old things, but kind of the balance between like getting because I'm like one of those people, I'm just on my head all the time, and I've got a lot of thoughts, and I just want to get the garbage out, and then figure out what might be funny. And then it's just like batting averages, like starting out you're gonna hit very low average, but as you're getting better at it, you kind of know, so you're gonna improve your what you're gonna get out of those sessions. But yeah, I would make it a point to do it every day when I was really hitting it hard to try and create an hour worth of material that I wanted to do. Yeah.
One of the things I like to ask a lot of people is, I call them KPIs because that's what I work in, and there's KPIs for jokes. What is it that makes a joke one that's going to go on, it's going to live, it's going to be an A joke, and what is it that makes that even though you think the joke's funny, it needs to go away?
I'll start with the second part first. Like, there's some jokes that I did on the album that I just wanted to do, so I didn't have to say them anymore. Like, I wrote them at a time when I didn't like what I did when I was a different person than when I wrote when doing them. So there's somewhere it's just like, all right, it's still funny, but it's not really what I want to focus my time on when I get an opportunity to do jokes and tell jokes. So I just got like a feeling like, I don't know. I just, sometimes kind of moving on. Sometimes I like to, have some jokes that are for the other comedians too. Like, I think that, those are, getting a laugh from the back of the room is sometimes better than getting a laugh from, a bunch of drunk people at a bar, like, yeah. So, the things that I think that work a lot for me is like, that's like kind of like finding your voice. Like, what do you want to talk about? What's your core beliefs, your core values? Like, what makes you angry? Like, what makes you happy? What are those things that can communicate who you are, and then it's still true to you. Look, there's some people I've seen, and when I would do this when I first started, it was like, I want to be like this person, or I want to be like this comedian, or I want to write a joke like that, and like that's cool. Like, that's fine. We're all learning, at this, art, but like, usually the funniest things that are gonna last for a long time are the ones that are personal for you, and aren't contrived, just to get a laugh, kind of a thing. Those are like there are like, there's different levels of stuff, right? There's just somebody falling down on the ground, that's a joke. I mean, it's a laugh, but is it like a really deep kind of meaningful thing? And I'm always kind of looking for those kind of laughs, and then being silly too. That's always fun. But yeah. I don't know. It was a big ramble. I don't know if that really made any sense.
No, it makes sense.
What I'm looking at.
And I'll say, in watching you, I watch several videos. It does, and listening to the album, it doesn't feel like you're trying to emulate anybody.
Well, that's very. I appreciate that very much, because everyone says I'm trying to be Louis C.K. and like I can't help that. My face looks like his a little bit. And Tom Segura, I can't really. So yeah, one of my friends was like, "Yeah, it's not like you can, get a face transplant."
Right.
Right. But
and
that's.
And the rhythm of your speech could be a little bit similar, but it's the way you talk, so you can't change
I can't help it. Yeah, I know.
There's a lot of people that talk like Louis C.K. It's just the way it is.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a bald white man in his 50s. I mean, there's a lot of them. Yeah. Yep.
Oh man, no doubt. Do you feel like it's easier for you to handle, because comedy's kind of a bullshit game for a lot of people. It's people get past that aren't as good as you, and all kinds of stuff happens. Do you feel like that because it's kind of your hobby, that it's easier for you to handle all the bullshit that comes along with comedy?
Yeah, that's a great question. I don't want to treat it like I don't want to treat it like a hobby. I treat it like a second job. Like, so I want to, that's why I put a lot of work into it. And, you know, that's something that I really struggle with, is like judging myself based on the success of other people. That's just something I've always struggled with my entire life. And comedy makes you deal with that, or it's going to consume you. You're just, you know, if you're gonna focus on like, oh man, this person got this, she got that, why did she get this, how did he get that, like it'll just eat you up inside, because it did me for like a long time. And I just decided that we're all on a different path. And it's not like I've come to this realization, it's just like it's a struggle I always have. Like what can I control, right? So what can one thing I can control is like what I put into it. So if I can, you know, sit down and I put my best effort into writing and reviewing my stuff, getting better. If something happens and I get a show or like stuff like that, then cool. If it doesn't, then all right, well, it didn't happen now. Maybe it'll happen some other time. But yeah, that's always been a real, and it probably should be the other way around. I should probably care less about it because I don't need it for to pay the bills. But I'm not really doing it. Not to sound like an asshole, I'm not really doing it for the money. I'm really doing it because I really enjoy it and I love it. The money is, as I've gone on, has gotten much better. Actually making money as opposed to losing money every every time I go out and do a show or a guest spot. But yeah, it's just the cool thing about it, about comedy for me, is just like how it's taught me about a bunch of life lessons that I didn't otherwise, or probably wouldn't have otherwise learned. But yeah, just because it is a creative pursuit, it's subjective. There's a kabillion comedians now. There's so many different ways to succeed, and everyone's on their own path, and we're not always going to get the same things at the same times. And I'm kind of fortunate. I'm glad that a lot of my friends popped off when they first started a couple of years out, and that's awesome for them. I would much rather be bad early when no one is going to see me than doing it for 10 years and then going up and headlining and then just shit in the bed. So right. So like, I kind of am grateful about that now, where now I'm kind of more people are seeing me, and I'm putting myself out there more too, like going out of state and doing more stuff. And so yeah, it's a lot of lessons to learn from comedy.
How do the young kids treat you at the shows?
Oh yeah, I have a lot of friends. I mean, pretty much all my friends now are in their 20s, and yeah. I like hanging out with people. I think it's it's great icebreaker to have, to talk with younger people and hang out with them. And I used to do a room in East Lansing on a weekly basis, and it was with me and like some 20-year-olds that would run it. And I thought that was a challenge for me, and I thought I got much better because I was writing outside of my comfort zone, trying to make what I wanted to say more relatable to a different kind of audience than what looked like me, because they were just in the 20s and just getting drunk, and I have nothing in common with them.
Yeah.
They didn't have a kid or a wife or a job, and yeah, I really enjoyed that. That was fun to me. But yeah, everyone's always been really, really cool with me.
The nice thing about being older is you don't have to feel bad about just going home after the show.
Right. Yeah. They're like, do you want to go up first? Like, sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Like, sometimes I want to go to bed. Like last night, I mean, today I got back from, I headlined this show in Indianapolis, and we got home at like,
Oh, you did Black Circle, didn't you?
Yeah. That was cool. It was fun, but we got home at like 1:30 last.
Yeah.
So I've been dying the entire day. Yeah.
Yeah. That's that's a cool show. Alex does a good job with that.
Yeah.
I got this. Alex came down here to Huntsville to do a show, and I got to meet him in person for the first time last year. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Big dude, giant man.
Yeah, I'm 6'5", and
okay. Yeah.
And I'm like, he's like 6'8" or something like that, and and I've got one of these personalities that when somebody's taller than me, I want to take them out. So
right.
I had to tell him that.
Yeah, it was. I did the Mark Ridley's Comedy Castle a couple weeks ago with Ben Bailey, and he's like 6'5", and then the host was like 6'7", and like normally I'm not. So normally when I'm like 6'4", like I don't usually feel like the small person in the room, but I was definitely the shortest guy in there.
Yeah, Ben Bailey always looked tall, but I didn't know how tall he was. He is a big guy.
Yeah, he's a big dude. Yeah.
It's
The Venture X card from Capital One gives you premium travel benefits, perfect for seeing Taylor Swift The Eras Tour. Presented by Capital One. Ooh, I do love her. Earn 5 times miles on flights and 10 times miles on hotels through Capital One Travel.
Enjoy your stay in Suite 13.
Whoa, 13? That's Taylor's lucky number. The Venture X card from Capital One. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Your challenge, if you choose to accept it, is this.
Let's go! Let's go!
Show up on day 1, work out with us for 30 minutes, feel good right away.
Yo!
Repeat 5 days a week for 3 weeks. We're a body, and we call that a body block. Take the 4th week off, and then start again. Choose a new body block each month. Have fun. Avoid burnout. Reach your goals.
But you're not going to quit on yourself today.
You in? Start a body block today. Visit body.com for a free trial. That's BODI.com.
This podcast is sponsored by Talkspace. You know when you're really stressed or not feeling so great about your life or about yourself? Talking to someone who understands can really help. But who is that person? How do you find them? Where do you even start? Talkspace. Talkspace makes it easy to get the support you need. With Talkspace, you can go online, answer a few questions about your preferences, and be matched with a therapist. And because you'll meet your therapist online, you don't have to take time off work or arrange childcare. You'll meet on your schedule, whenever you feel most at ease. If you're depressed, stressed, struggling with a relationship, or if you want some counseling for you and your partner, or just need a little extra one-on-one support, Talkspace is here for you. Plus, Talkspace works with most major insurers, and most insured members only pay a $25 copay or less. No insurance, no problem. Now get $100 off your first month when you go to Talkspace.com/comedy. Match with a licensed therapist today at Talkspace.com/comedy. Talkspace.com/comedy.
It's amazing. The camera just doesn't, you don't know until you stand by him.
Right.
Except for Alex. You always know Alex is a giant. Because if he's standing beside anybody, you can tell.
Yeah, the dude blocks out the sun. Yeah. Yeah. A big dude.
Since you've been doing this for 10 years, one of the things you do is you pay attention to comedy when you're doing it. You pay attention to what's going on.
Oh, yeah.
Do you feel like anything has changed for the worse or for the better as far as comedy in general is concerned since you started?
Yeah, like it's an interesting phenomenon with people that have been establishing themselves strictly through YouTube and TikTok, and watching those people bring out their audiences to crowds and being able to perform with some of those people. And their audiences are not comedy club audiences. They're not like the traditional, people that are there to drink, and they're they're there for that person that they're into, like you know. And so that's something that's completely changed from when I really first started doing it, where clubs were like the way you're going to get exposed to things, and you know, how can I get onto this club or that club? And now it's just like you can reach so many people with you know, some crowd work that you did at an open mic or whatever, or at a show, and put it out there, and you get, you know, like 100 fans from that. Like that's wild to me. But those audiences are different, and that's, you know, it's kind of a double-edged sword, I think. Like some of those people aren't traditional stand-ups, and then they may not be set up for success like a traditional stand-up person when they get that kind of success. So those are kind of some of the different things that I've seen. And a lot of people are chatty and want to get chatty with with the comedians, more so. And sometimes I'm into that, sometimes I'm not, depending on what you know, who the person is. But I've noticed that a lot more. There's been a lot more chatty audience members, and yeah, I don't know, good or better for worse.
I see the same thing. How do you handle that when it happens to you?
If they're polite, like I think some of the worst ones are like when they're just super polite and like they're paying attention and they're like, oh, that's funny, or like, you know, they're saying stuff out loud. And like, I'm not gonna like put them down because they're like into the show, and I don't want to discourage them from entertaining. So those are like the most difficult ones, I think, when somebody's really into it and they're actually supportive. When the people are shitty, you know, I have to teach. I've learned to kind of not go into my go for the jugular first. Like I'll give a couple like opportunities for them to shut up. But then I, you know, just having done this for 10 years and having the microphone, I'm going to win. There's no way this person is going to win. So like and plus I argue for a living. So like I'm going to out argue you. And I will make you look, if you want to look stupid, I'll make you look stupid. Like that's what I think. But I'll give you a couple opportunities to figure out, maybe I should back off. But so I try and be nice, try and you know, we make mistakes, especially when people are drunk. But I'll give you a couple shots, and then if not, then we'll go in and we'll take care of it myself. Yeah.
I see it as like 3 different groups. There's the first one, you say, that are nice. They're just they've had a few too many, and they don't even know that they're saying the words that they're saying. Oh, that's a great joke or whatever, and talking over you. Then there's the assholes, and then there's the ones in between that are inserting their own personal story into your joke. Wow. And I feel like they're the hardest ones.
Yeah, sometimes like I got an interaction with some of those people at a show recently, and I haven't released the clip, but it's just so bizarre. Like they'll have some like non sequitur that they think makes total sense. And so then, like, I mean, we all learn like when someone says something that's stupid, like just repeat it. So the audience, so they know that like the audience kind of gets the benefit of what they've said. And a lot of times it just makes for you know, a couple minutes of just, you know, this person's insane. Like what is wrong with you? Like what are you but yeah, I used to get very angry when I first started out. Now it's kind of like, how can I gotta calm down. I gotta realize that, you know, I don't want to ruin the show.
Right.
So, you know.
I was exactly the same, because you put a lot of work into what you bring on stage, and nobody realizes that unless you do it. And then these folks are just, you know, throwing a bat in the tire and just taking the train off the rails, and they don't even know what they're doing to you.
Yeah, I had one guy. Now I just remembered it. We did a benefit show for a local kind of festival, not like a comedy festival, just a festival. And the guy, like, just would not shut up the entire show. And then he came up to me after the show and he's like, when are we doing this again? I'm like, bro, we're not doing this again. Like, I don't even want to talk to you, man. Like, he thought we were friends. We thought we were like best friends. Like, hey, what are we? I'm not doing this with you again ever. Like, get out of my face. And then like, so yeah, yeah. I just had a flashback there. Sorry, I blacked out.
Yeah.
Back into that guy. I was gonna find that guy.
Sorry to bring up the PTSD.
No worries. Yeah. No worries. Better to talk about it. Yeah. I wake up in a cold sweat.
What's the best piece of advice you've gotten since you started?
Don't be afraid to fail. And if you're gonna fail, do it very loudly. So like, you know, just don't be timid about this. Like, just, you know, it's like the practice of law, kind of, you know, like they call it the practice because you're gonna screw up sometimes. You're not gonna do everything right, but let's just like getting out there and doing it, and just you know, like I'm thinking about signing up for a mic. Well, just do it, man. I mean, that's the biggest thing. Like, you know, I've always wanted to do this. What should I do? Just do it. There's nothing really other than that. You'll find your own path and find your way of how you enjoy this and how to get better at it if you just do it. That's just one of those things. And then just be as fearless as you can. And if you think something's funny, you know, it probably is, but like, just how you're going to learn how to communicate your thoughts. And being a communicator is like, doing stand-up has just made me a much better lawyer and a person too. Like, just learning how to communicate my thoughts. Like, sometimes like I'll have an idea that I think is really funny, and it probably really is funny, but just I don't know how to communicate that aspect of it. Yeah. But like Chris Rock, it's like, if it's not funny, well, it's probably funny. It's just the setup is wrong. So what's the setup you got to fix?
Right.
Yeah.
Do you feel like the timing's wrong sometimes too? Have you ever put a joke away and like years later you bring it out and all of a sudden it's right?
Yeah, I did. That's one that I started when I a couple years in, about being in marching band, and I just didn't, you know, really know how to. It's not a complex joke. It's just like, I think I've gotten more comfortable with performing now, and I feel it's easier for me to talk about certain things. But yeah, so that, yeah, I wrote something and then just kind of like put it away and then came back to it recently. So yeah, just keep all the stuff. That's another thing too, is just keep everything. Don't think that like, oh, this is stupid, and throw it away, because you know, you're just gonna come back to it at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really weird. They just they come up at the weirdest times, and it seems like you look at them at the right time, and you change it a little bit, but the basic idea is still there. It's great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, we have reached a point in the podcast where my new segment, I'll call it a segment, is we're doing, and it's pretty popular. So I'm pretty stoked about the feedback I've been getting. It's called "Is This Anything?" And that's where each of us bring either a premise, a joke, something that we think might be something, but maybe hasn't been something yet, and bounce it off each other. So you're the guest, so you get to choose who goes first.
I'll let you go first.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I will. I'll give this a little bit of a setup, because I've done this a couple times, but it has it's been mild. It hasn't been exactly what I want, and it sets up some more stuff. So I really want it to work.
Oh yeah,
because the other stuff doesn't work if this doesn't work. So here we go. I'll go right into it. I got a new doctor and. Start over. I got a new doctor and I got all the tests done so she'd know what she's working with. She went over the tests with me and told me that she wouldn't be surprised if I lived to be 100. She must have seen the expression on my face, because she asked, "Is that bad news?" And I said, "No, doc, it's great news. But let me ask you, what sort of stress could I put on my body to cut that estimate down by about 20 years? Like, when would be a good time to start smoking 2 packs of cigarettes a day, drinking a handle of Jack Daniels, and maybe throw some meth into the mix so that I drop dead somewhere like right between 79 and 81. I don't
Right.
want to make it to 100. I know it sounds great, but it's really 20 more years of bullshit than I want to experience. Here's what happens when you make it to 100. There's a big party at the nursing home with the people you don't know or like. You get a sugar-free cake that tastes like shit, and some kid from the news station on their first assignment sticks a mic in your face and says, "Mr. Curtis, what's the secret to living to be 100? Well, Chip, I eat babies. Just 2 of them a year. That's all I need. That's the elixir, Chip. A couple newborns down the gullet in March and October is why we're talking right now." And that's it.
Yeah. Yeah, I like where you went with it. I think that the suggestion is like setting up that like you don't want to, maybe planting the seed earlier that you don't want to live to 100 is I think probably really a really relatable thing that as we get older, everyone probably has that same thing. Like when you're a kid and like you're 20, it's like, oh shit, I'm gonna live forever. Like, oh my god, I don't want to live forever. This is insane. Like I don't, I'm gonna outlive my pension, or outlive my savings. I like it. I like it. Like we were saying, like I was saying before, like sometimes it's like, how do we, because I'm gonna unload this joke on you in a little bit, and it's like it doesn't work, and I've got to try to figure out how to make it work.
Yeah.
But I like where it goes.
And really I felt like the couple times I did it, it's rewritten from those times, and I think you're right. I should set this up as, I'm getting older, but I don't want to get that old, and then bring the doctor story in, and that way they know what's well, they don't know what's coming, but they know kind of how I feel when she says I'm going to make it to 100.
Yeah, and part of that, like sometimes it's because I just heard that cold, right? So I didn't hear any jokes before it, or so like sometimes I think when we're doing a longer set, like the audience is going to figure out like what your point of view is, so they're going to know like, oh well, he's got this, he's sarcastic, and so if you dive into that without like an actual formal like introduction of the topic, a setup kind of a thing, like it would probably work. But if you're doing that like you want to do at the beginning of a bigger chunk like that, it might have to actually kind of go through the formality, which is that's what my wife is not a stand-up comedian, but she's like unfortunately always right when I talk to her about jokes. Like she'll say like, you got to set this up better. Like where you went with it is because like she'll experience a lot of the same stuff I do, but like she's like, yeah, just don't be afraid to talk more at the beginning. It's like, yeah, I know, and then as you trim that down, then it'll, probably won't have to say some of those things,
right?
But yeah,
and I think you're right, because I've only done that at open mics where I've got 5 or 10 minutes, and it's definitely a middle joke. It's not something they have to know that I'm grumpy and sarcastic and all that before I get into that, and I definitely dig that part, and it's just, I felt like maybe it's too dark, maybe is it going too dark, because the stuff that comes after it is even darker. So
all right.
I want to make sure that they're getting eased into the darkness, and then they get to see who Scott's really about.
Well, yeah, and like the line with you're eating the babies, like if you just, I think that's funny. I think some people would think that that's very dark, and like just how you deliver that, right? Like how that's like, you're gonna have, that's one of those ones where you're probably gonna have to be like, laughing maybe a little bit and smiling when you say that, because like if you're gonna eat a baby, like people might might be a little freaked out by that. But yeah, I think that's funny, man.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'll keep working on it. It's I mean, I'm totally restructuring my act, because I started out being like the clean guy, and it's just not who I am. So I figure this is going to take me to Hollywood or anything like that. So if I'm going to do it, I'm going to say what I want to say. So the move changed that. And so everything's different. And so like 90% of my material just doesn't even work anymore. So starting from scratch. Yeah. Okay. Thank you for the input. And now it's your turn.
Yeah. Okay. So this isn't really, I don't have a structure for this yet, but I've said it a couple times, and the second time I got a kind of a good response. But like, so the idea is just like raking leaves. Well, I have two, so I'll give you this one first. If you've got time to do another one after this one. But the first one is I was raking leaves, and I absolutely I think it's just a complete waste of time. Like if I was single, there's no way I'm raking leaves. The only reason I rake leaves is because my wife keeps me from being a worse person than what I normally am. And so as I'm sitting there and I'm raking the leaves, I'm like, you know what? Like maybe the terrorists are right. Like I think that's funny. That's the funny part of the joke for me. But then I have to explain that a little bit better, I think. So like the terrorists are not raking leaves. So they don't do that. So like if they wanted to recruit someone like me, they would put out something like, hey man, you don't need to rake the leaves. And I'm not saying I would join Al-Qaeda, but I'd probably have some debate back and forth about it. Very anti-raking leaves.
Yeah.
It's good of a thing.
Yeah, I might be a little bit more pissed off about raking the leaves at the beginning, because if I was single, they'd just sit there, they'd be mulch like they're supposed to be, and they would just sit there and they would be gone in the spring. So but my wife wants me to do it. Who doesn't rake leaves? Terrorists.
Right.
Yeah. And you know what? If they start advertising, you don't have to rake leaves, maybe I'll sign up.
Yeah, there you go. That's good. I like that, because that ties in with another joke I have about like I think IKEA is actually a terrorist group, terrorist organization, and like how it's very like very covert, and like how they subtly destroy your weekends and cause arguments with you and your spouse. Yeah, no, that's cool. I like that. That works out with that other one, and I can kind of go into that other one too.
Yeah, that's a pretty decent surprise little misdirect that you can throw in there, and then it totally ties in with the IKEA.
Yeah, that's cool. Nice.
Well, you said you had another one. Go ahead.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, if you want to. I love the election we just had, and I don't know where you're at, but like the local elections are my favorite. The national elections I like, and pay attention to, but the local ones are my favorite. Like who the drain commissioner, we see all these signs for like drain, like who's running for drain commissioner. like if you want to be drain commissioner, I'll just let you be drain commissioner. Just if you want it that bad to put your name on a stupid sign on the side of the road. Like I don't even know, I'm 42, I don't even know what a drain commissioner does. I'm sure that the drain commissioner doesn't know what they have to do, and like we'll just rotate. We'll let both of you be the drain commissioner every 6 months. And so then it goes into like I want to see like more negative campaign ads with local elections, like the drain commissioner. It's like I saw this one guy, his name was Rob Sumbler, and he was running for drain commissioner, and I just love the name Rob Sumbler. That's what so Rob, they have a negative ad for like Rob Sumbler. It's like Rob Sumbler takes whole rolls of toilet paper and flushes them down the drain. And Rob Sumbler takes packages of tampons and flushes them down the public toilets. Rob Sumbler, bad for drains, bad for America. Like I don't know, that makes me laugh so much. Just like the stupid local elections. Like
Yeah.
I don't know.
I love that.
Thanks.
I like it the way it is. The only tag I give you is up at the beginning. I don't know why anybody wants to be drain commissioner. Maybe they just want to get on that sweet insurance plan of the city.
There you go. Right.
And if that's their only reason to do it, maybe they could do something else. But if that's all they can do, then there you go.
Yeah. Like that's their dream. Like that's no one like sets out to be the drain commissioner. Like, like they've settled. Like, to be drain commissioner.
It's funny. I was a Wendy's manager in the 80s, and this guy would come in 3 times a week at lunch, and he worked for the city washing the trucks, and he had been doing it for 40 years.
Oh my God.
And totally happy to do it, and was a happy guy. But every time he talked to me, he says, you know what I pay for my insurance? A penny. I pay a penny a month for my insurance.
Holy shit.
And that was, insurance was starting to get kind of stupid in the 80s. It's even worse now. But I love that interaction. I've always wanted to turn that into a joke. But it's the same type of thing. Get on that sweet penny insurance,
Yeah, this guy was happy. Like basically free insurance made him happy to do the job equivalent of rain.
Yeah.
Like that's it. He was so happy to just perform this function that we could it's done on its own.
Yeah.
If you just wait long enough. Yeah. Oh man. That guy. Talk to that guy. Yeah. He's like Buddha.
Yeah. He is. Happy guy. Moved really slow, but he was a happy guy, and I'm sure he's not still with us because he was like 60 something then. But
with people like that are really happy, like I'm like, where are the bodies at?
They're
somewhere. They're somewhere. I don't know. Like can't all be that happy.
Oh man. Well, this is great. I love doing this segment, and I always get something out of it, and I always have to replay it back. I take notes and all that. But that I think both of yours are definitely keepers, and
I liked yours too.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna work into your act really well. It's you based on what I've seen so far, so it definitely works. So the album is.
It's free consultation.
Yeah, free consultation. I flipped pages and I lost it, and it's great. I know it's on Spotify, and you can you can buy it. Where can people find you if they want to see your TikToks and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah. So my handle that I try and use across all the platforms is @comedian@law. So then just @comedian and then @law. So I'm doing a lot of stuff on TikTok and Facebook. Been growing those pages and Instagram too. So just give me a follow, and if people have dumb legal questions or crazy things that they've seen, legal stuff, I'd love to talk about them. So just shoot me an email. And then my website is just www. I'm so old now, so of course I said the www. No, you don't have to say the www, Nick, anymore. So it's just comedian @law. So so
great.
And
your website's well put together.
Thanks. Thanks. I'm trying to build that out a little bit more.
I see I see good ones, and I see ones that haven't been touched since '92. So
right.
GeoCities. Not mobile friendly. Yeah.
Right.
Well, great. Thanks so much for being on the show. And folks, all of his socials and stuff like that will be in the show notes. Make sure you take a look at Nick Leydorf, and make sure you check out the album Free Consultation. Thanks for being on the show, Nick.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Scott. Appreciate it.
With everything you have on your plate, earning your degree online seems impossible. But at Grand Canyon University, we specialize in helping you fit a master's degree in nursing into your busy day. Achieve your goals with a plan and team behind you. Balance online coursework and in-person, local clinical, practicum, or immersion hours as you work towards graduation while leaving room for what matters. Find your purpose at Grand Canyon University. Visit gcu.edu.
Most of us have clothes that we've loved for years, maybe even decades. But it's harder than ever to find clothes that will stand the test of time. If you're looking for more pieces designed to last, you can't go wrong with American Giant. From hoodies and t-shirts to denim and more, they've got everything you need to build a wardrobe that you'll be proud of for years to come. All American Giant clothing is created with a commitment to doing things better. From the materials they use down to the last stitch in every piece. And everything is made right here in America, in partnership with people and communities. Because keeping things local ensures the kind of quality you'll appreciate as soon as you receive your order. Discover the American Giant difference today. Shop wardrobe essentials that last a lifetime at American-Giant.com and get 20% off your first order when you use code LT23 at checkout. That's 20% off your first order at American-Giant.com. Promo code LT23.